Scorpio, something shifts today, and you may feel it before you understand it. A conversation with someone important suddenly carries more weight than it should. A decision about your career feels bigger than usual, like the ground under your ambition just moved. Scorpio, that sensation is not random. Today the sky is staging one of its rarer events directly over your career house, and it is pulling an unexpected relationship theme along with it. But here is the part almost nobody expects. The boldest move available to you today is not the loud one. It is the deliberate one. Stay with this, because by the end you will understand exactly which conversation, which decision, and which quiet act of courage today is actually asking from you. The bigger picture. From the Western, tropical perspective, today carries genuine weight. A new moon in Leo is forming in your 10th house, the house of career, reputation, and long-term direction. And this particular new moon is also a total solar eclipse. Eclipses do not behave like ordinary lunations. They compress months of development into a single moment, cracking something open that was previously sealed, landing where it does. This one is asking you to clarify, publicly, what you actually want to be known for. There is a reason this feels personal rather than abstract. Sitting alongside this lunar event is another current. One astrologers working from the evolutionary and psychological traditions would recognize instantly. An unusual pairing of Uranus and Chiron activating your partnership sector. Chiron represents the wound we carry and eventually learn to work with, rather than around. Uranus represents disruption, the maverick impulse, the refusal to do things the expected way. Together, in a relationship context, they do not ask for comfort. They ask for audacity built on real competence, not performance. Meanwhile, from the Vedic, sidereal lens, the moon is stationed in Cancer today, a placement Vedic astrologers often associate with unplanned but meaningful social contact. Where the Western chart is shouting about career, the Vedic moon is whispering about connection, timing, and the kind of person who shows up right when you need steadiness. Here is the first thread worth holding on to. The Western eclipse is pushing you toward visibility and ambition. The Vedic moon is quietly preparing you with emotional support for whatever that visibility costs you. Two different systems, two different calculations of the sky, and yet they are both circling the same week in your life from opposite directions. That is not coincidence. That is what happens when a life transition is real. It shows up in more than one place at once. Love. You may have noticed a pull lately toward doing something different in how you show up for someone. Whether that is a partner, a situation you are building with someone, or a connection you have not fully defined yet. The evolutionary picture explains why. That Uranus-Chiron combination sitting in your partnership area is not subtle. It is asking for an unconventional kind of commitment, the sort that looks strange from the outside because it does not follow the usual script. Here is the tension worth sitting with. People around you will likely split into two camps. Some will admire what you are doing and quietly try to follow your lead. Others will disapprove, maybe audibly. Neither reaction should be your compass. The energy today does not reward you for being liked. It rewards you for being real, with the kind of nerve that mixes discipline and unpredictability rather than reckless impulse. If you are in a relationship, there is a second layer forming later in the day when Mercury and Uranus align in a supportive sextile. This tends to open a surprisingly honest conversation, possibly about trust, money, intimacy, or how responsibilities get divided. The instinct might be to want the milestone, the label, the announcement, before the harder conversation happens. Consider reversing that order. Decide what actually needs to change between you first. Let the visible step confirm something already true, rather than trying to manufacture closeness through an announcement. If you are single, that same Uranus-Chiron current suggests openness to someone who does not fit your usual pattern. And the Vedic moon in Cancer adds something tender to this, A new person may enter your orbit through ordinary circumstances, at a moment that turns out, in hindsight, to feel unusually well-timed. Many people experiencing this kind of Cancer moon transit describe meeting someone who becomes less a romantic spark and more a steadying presence, the kind of person who keeps you calm when things get complicated. Both are valid. Neither is guaranteed. But the door is genuinely open wider than usual. Career. This is where today's story really escalates. That eclipse in your career house is not just symbolic. Many astrologers watching this kind of 10th house eclipse describe it as capable of accelerating professional timelines that would otherwise take much longer to unfold. If you have been quietly aiming at a leadership role, a new title, or a venture of your own, the energy today leans toward opportunities appearing sooner than expected, sometimes through unusual or unplanned circumstances rather than a straight, predictable path. Here is where the relationship theme from earlier folds back in unexpectedly. This same lunar event tends to spark a fresh dynamic with an important man or male figure connected to your professional world, a mentor, boss, partner, or collaborator. The instinct might be to assume you already understand this person. Resist that. The more useful move is curiosity. Ask real questions, drop your assumptions about what motivates them, and actually learn what makes them operate the way they do. What looks like a straightforward working relationship may reveal something you had not accounted for. There is also a quieter warning worth honoring underneath all this ambition. The instinct during an eclipse is to over-explain your plans, to strategize until the moment loses its nerve. Do not hide serious ambition behind excessive caution. Choose one visible, concrete step, something that proves you are serious, and let the work itself build your authority rather than a long explanation of your intentions. Money. The same audacity fueling your career and relationship life needs a partner in discipline when it comes to money. Financial opportunities do appear to be present right now, and that is worth acknowledging honestly. But opportunity and impulsiveness are different things, and today's chart does not reward acting on instinct alone. From the Vedic tradition, there is a specific and practical detail worth noting. The hours between 2 and 4 in the afternoon are considered more favorable for investment-related decisions today. That does not mean anything outside that window is unsafe, only that if you have a choice about timing, this window may carry slightly steadier energy for financial judgment. You might also notice a small increase in income or an unexpected financial nudge in your favor. That is welcome, but it should not change your approach. Careful planning still matters more than momentum. If you are comparing your financial pace to someone else's, especially in a season where your career is visibly accelerating, that comparison will only distort your judgment. Focus on your own numbers, your own timeline, and let the eclipse energy fuel your ambition, not your anxiety about what others have already built. Health. Here is the detail today's chart is quietly insisting you pay attention to before anything else. What you are feeling emotionally right now is information, not noise. With so much pressure building in your career and relationship life simultaneously, it would be easy to push your emotions aside to keep functioning. Resist that. The psychological current running underneath today's sky suggests that understanding how you actually feel, rather than managing around it, will make every decision ahead of you noticeably easier. That emotional clarity extends into the body. Choosing steadier, healthier food today is not just a wellness cliché. It is a practical way of supporting the nervous system through what is genuinely a high-stimulation day astrologically. Small physical choices compound quickly when the emotional stakes are this high. If you find yourself drawn toward spiritual or symbolic support during a demanding stretch like this, know that some Vedic practitioners may recommend remedies tied to specific planetary placements, including certain gemstones or mantras, for individuals whose full birth charts support them. This is not universal advice, And gemstone prescription in Vedic astrology in particular requires a full personal chart analysis rather than a general recommendation for an entire sign. A safer, universally supportive step is simply wearing colors associated with today's more favorable placements or spending a few quiet minutes in reflection or meditation before decisions that matter, home and family. The emotional processing this day requires does not happen in isolation. It shows up in how you interact with the people closest to you, family members, roommates, longtime friends. If you have been carrying career pressure or relationship uncertainty without naming it out loud, you might notice it leaking into small interactions at home, a shorter reply than usual, a bit less patience than normal. This is also where that Vedic Cancer moon becomes relevant again, not as a repeat explanation, but as a different application of the same energy. The supportive new connection mentioned earlier in the love section does not have to be romantic. It could easily surface within your existing circle, a friend or family member who unexpectedly becomes the person keeping you grounded through this eclipse-driven stretch. Many people experiencing this kind of transit describe feeling a specific, almost startling gratitude when they realize how well the timing of that support lined up with what they needed, travel and spirit. If you had travel plans loosely on the calendar, today's chart leans toward caution rather than expansion. With so much energy concentrated in career and relationship houses, spreading your focus toward travel right now risks diluting the momentum building in more important areas of your life. This is not a permanent restriction, just a suggestion to let this particular window stay narrow and intentional. Spiritually, though, there is real value available. Picture the eclipse today less as an event happening to the sky and more like a photograph being developed, an image that was always there quietly forming, now suddenly becoming visible all at once. That is what this stretch is doing to your ambitions and your closest relationships. Nothing about who you are becoming is new. It is simply surfacing faster than usual. Sitting with that image, rather than rushing past it, may be the most valuable thing you do today outside of any practical task. Lucky signs. If you are looking for a simple point of alignment today, pink carries favorable energy for you, a soft counterbalance to the intensity of everything else in motion. The window between 2 and 4 in the afternoon favors financial and investment decisions specifically, according to Vedic timing traditions. And in terms of temperament, you will likely find more ease today with people who share your appetite for honesty over performance, the kind of person unbothered by a little unconventional behavior. Tay's guidance. Here is the thread connecting everything you have just walked through. Your career house cracked open today with real, accelerated potential, and instead of shrinking from that, you are being asked to take one visible step that reflects genuine confidence. Your relationships, whether romantic or professional, are asking for the same kind of nerve, an unusual, disciplined boldness rather than caution disguised as strategy. And underneath both of those, your emotional and financial life is asking for patience. Feel what you are feeling honestly, plan your money carefully, and let a possible new connection support you rather than distract you. What looked, at the start of today, like unrelated pressure in your career and your relationships was never actually separate. It was one story, the story of you finally being seen the way you have quietly wanted to be seen, on your own terms, at your own pace. That is the real shift. The eclipse does not hand you the outcome. It hands you the moment to choose it. What you do with the next few hours may matter more than you expect.